Good morning, students. The other day I discussed about the primary industries, and then I told you primary industries are those industries basically where you produce something in the bulk quantity by the help of human beings or different equipments and machineries, and which is already been present in the nature. What is in the nature? That thing only been collected or extracted or produced in bulk quantities for the purpose of sale or for the purpose of earning money. That is what is basically called the primary industries. In today's class, I am not going in details of primary industries because that is already been taught in yesterday's class beta. And in today, I am just only going to discuss about the secondary industries. When I told you about the industries, I told you the meaning of industries, and there I told you industries are basically divided into three categories: primary industries, secondary industries, and the tertiary industries. The first day I discussed about the meaning of industries and the primary industries. And in today's class, I am just going to discuss about the secondary industries. Now what is secondary industries, beta? Secondary industries are those industries which basically deals with the materials what has been collected by the primary industries. उसका मतलब प्राइमरी इंडस्ट्रीज जो चीज को प्रोड्यूस किया, सेकेंडरी इंडस्ट्रीज आर प्रोसेसिंग दोज पर्टिकुलर थिंग्स एज पर द ह्यूमन नीड्स और एज पर द ह्यूमन वांट्स. That is what is basically called the secondary industries. Like if I want to give an example, like I given you once more, beta. What is secondary industry basically? Secondary industry is basically processing the materials provided by the primary industries. Like if I want to give an example, like in primary industries, like I given you the example of primary forestry. उसका मतलब क्या बेटा? जिस जंगल है, जंगल से जाकर के तुम पेड़ को काट करके लकड़ी को लेकर आए, wood, you collected the wood. Okay? When you collected the wood from the jungle, as it is there, that is what is called primary industries, because nature से तुम उसको कलेक्ट करके लाया. But after collecting it, when you come to the secondary industries, what the secondary industries do, बेटा? From those logs, उसको काट करके as per our need to make the furniture or to make the doors or to make the windows, are they processing it or not? And this processing is done by the secondary industries. So what is secondary industry doing? Secondary industry is processing the raw materials or the materials what has been collected by the primary industries from the nature. Like if I want to give one more example, the other day I told you also, beta, if you go near to the storage station, you must have been seen big stones are lying there. They are the ore of aluminium that is called bauxite. And what you've been noticed? Those bauxites, you are getting it from the nature. So that has been collected by the primary industries. After all, what is happening, beta? Those bauxites are being processed. And after processing those bauxites, maybe by mixing some chemical or maybe by using some machineries, mechanical way or the chemical way, it has been processed. And after processing, you are making the aluminium from it as per the human beings' wants. So those kinds of industries are called secondary industries. So secondary industry, what they are doing? They are basically processing the materials what is being collected by the primary industries. On the other hand, the materials what is already present in the nature and what has been collected by the primary industries, it has been sent to the secondary industries. And what the secondary industries do? They process those raw materials as per the needs of the human beings. Like just now I had given you example of the forestry. Forest से कैसे लकड़ी को collect करके as per our need they are doing it or not. On the other hand, just now I given you the mining one, the bauxites, how it has been processed and formed the aluminium. Now when they are processing it, they might be using some mechanical process or some chemical process. We are not going in details of that. So once more, so you know the meaning of secondary industry, and this secondary industry is basically divided into two parts. One is called manufacturing industries and other is called the construction industry. You know the manufacturing industry better. What is manufacturing industries? I just given a definition. They are concerned with the processing of raw materials and semi-finished into finished products. So manufacturing industries, what they are doing it, whatever raw material is there, those raw materials, they processed it as per the needs of the human beings. Because just now I told you that bauxite cannot be used by you and me. For you and me, the bauxite is useless. It likes the stone. But what is happening there? That particular stone is going to in Hindalco factories. And in the Hindalco factories, by the help of chemical processing and mechanical processes, from that ore, they found out the aluminium. From the aluminium, they produce different kinds of things. What is useful to you and me? That is why it is called the secondary industry. So manufacturing industry, what they do better? Whatever raw material they got from the primary industries, those raw materials of the semi-finished product, they produced into the finished products for the usefulness of the human beings. That is called the secondary industries. And the secondary industries, basically they process those raw materials in different systems. According to the process, they are divided into three parts. One is called analytical, second one is called synthetical, and third is called assembling. So the question asks you, explain about the manufacturing industries. You have to first give the definition of manufacturing industries. और कोई भी फैक्ट्री में जब कोई चीज को मैन्युफैक्चर किया जाता है बेटा, कोई चीज को बनाया जाता है, डायरेक्टली इट इज नॉट बीन मेड, प्रोसेस में इसको बनाया जाता है. And those processes are called analytical, synthetical, and assembling. Now, what is analytical? See, better? Basic raw materials is broken into several useful material. कोई भी एक बेसिक रॉ मटेरियल है, लाइक आई टोल्ड यू बॉक्साइट. इस बॉक्साइट को ब्रेक करते करते इसको सेवरल यूजफुल मटेरियल्स में बांटा जाता है. हो सके बॉक्साइट का कोई चाइज तुम, इफ यू गो टू द पेट्रोलियम, यू मस्ट हैव बीन सीन द क्रूड ऑयल व्हाट कम, उसमें से प्रोसेस करके कहीं पर केरोसिन ऑयल निकाला जाता है, कहीं पर पेट्रोल निकाला जाता है, कहीं पर डीजल निकाला जाता है. व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इट बेटा? द एनालिटिकल इंडस्ट्री. व्हाट इज बेसिक रॉ मटेरियल, व्हाटएवर यू कलेक्ट फ्रॉम द नेचर, लाइक फ्रॉम द बॉम्बे हाई यू आर कलेक्टिंग द क्रूड ऑयल. उसके बाद व्हाट आर डूइंग इट? You are process, it is broken into the different material as per the needs. Petrol हो रहा है, डीजल हो रहा है, केरोसिन हो रहा है. That's what is called analytical. So the basic raw materials has been broken into different useful materials. That is what is called analytical. Second comes synthetical. Yeah, two or more materials are mixed to form the new product. You know the two and more material. Like I told you, if you go to a cement factory, beta, you must have been seen limestone is there. With the limestone, they must have mixed up something else by mixing one or two things, one or two materials, are they producing something that is what is called synthetical. So what happened? Synthetical industries are which one? It is a part of manufacturing industries, and what they are doing? Basically, they two or three materials, they mix up together, and by mixing up together, they produce the product which is useful for the human beings. And then coming assembling. What do you mean by assembling? All of us are knowing. Assembling means parts are combined together to produce a new product. Like whenever you are going to buy a fan, beta, whenever you are going to buy a TV, you must have been seen inside the TV there are small parts are there. Like if you are going to buy a ceiling fan, it is also having a different parts. Maybe the bearing is there, those blades are there, so different parts are there. What you don't know beta what is happening? So different industries are producing the different parts. In one industry, all the parts are not being produced. एक इंडस्ट्री में फैन का खाली ब्लेड बनता है बेटा, एक इंडस्ट्री में उसका खाली बियरिंग बनता है बेटा, एक इंडस्ट्री में उसका जो कॉइल है उसको बनता है बेटा. So different company is producing different parts of the fan. After producing all those parts, they come to the assembling industry. वहां पर क्या होता है? एक पार्ट्स को जोड़ करके they produce the fan. You must have been seen earlier whenever we are buying the desktop computer, बेटा जब desktop computer हम लोग खरीदते थे, अभी तो नहीं है, सब लैपटॉप हो गया, तुम क्या देखा पहले वो जो that box, then उसके बाद तुम देखा बेटा RAM was there, hard disk was there, all those parts was separate. And what those people are doing, assembling industries, all those parts they join after each other, and after joining them, they make it useful for the human beings. Those are called assembling industries. So second thing, so I talked about secondary industries, and I told you secondary industries, basically what they are doing it, they are processing the materials what has been provided by the primary industries. As per the needs of the human beings, it has been processed. When they are processing it, it is basically processed by two. One is called the manufacturing industry, other is called the construction industry. I told you about the manufacturing industry. What is manufacturing industry? I told you definition here. And then I told manufacturing industries are divided into three parts: analytical, synthetical, and assembling. Okay? And at last I'm going to talk about the construction industries. All of us are knowing what is construction industry, beta. When you are constructing a building, when you are constructing a road, when you are constructing a bridge, whatever you are doing it, definitely you are not doing in the small quantities, and you are not investing a very less amount of money. You are investing a huge amount of money, and lots of raw materials are required. Like whenever you are going to construct a building, whenever you are going to construct an industry, whenever you are going to construct a road, whenever you are going to construct a bridge, what you have been noticed? You might be required the sand, you might be requiring the stone chips, you might be requiring the cement, and what you have been noticed? There is something you are getting from the nature, something you are processing and bringing it. After that you are mixing them together, and after mixing them together, either you are making a road, or you are building a constructions, or you are building a bridge. Whatever you are doing it as per the needs of the human beings. That is why those kinds of industries are called construction industries. And whenever you are going to do the construction, here also you are taking the help of the primary industries. 2 or 3 or 4 types of materials have been mixed up together, and after mixing up together, as per the like you are taking the, might be using the steel. The steel is produced from where? Again you go to the nature. From the nature you are collecting the raw materials or ore of the steel. उसके बाद उसको प्रोसेस करके उसको केमिकल कुछ मिलाया करके you are making the steel. Now that steel is being used for the purpose of making the bridge or not. So you can see all are basically involved with the primary industries. So in today's class, I discussed about the meaning of secondary industries, and I told secondary industries is basically divided into two parts: manufacturing industries and construction industries. And what are the different types of manufacturing industries been discussed, and about the construction industries also been discussed. Please read it properly, listen to my videos properly. Definitely it will be clear to you better. So thank you so much for today's class.